Hey, I'm Randy Nash with Sumner Funeral and Cremation. I just finished my episode here with Kathryn, talking about the funeral service and life and doing good work, and hope you enjoy this episode.
Hello and welcome back to A Good Pour, conversations about good work in our community and beyond. I'm Kathryn Good, founder of Good Circle Marketing and host of this podcast. Today we have Randy Nash with us, who is the owner of Sumner Funeral and Cremation with locations in Gallatin and in Hendersonville. Thanks for being here, Randy.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So Kim Baker recommended you for this podcast. I don't know if I told you that. Of course she did. That's right. Kim was a guest, one of our very first guests on the podcast, and I asked her for other people that do good work in our community. And I love that she recommended you for a couple of reasons. One, I don't get to see you near as much as I would like to. We did Leadership Sumner, 2017, 18?
Yeah, I was trying to remember the years the other day. I was telling somebody about it. It's 2017, 18.
Okay, so we did that. That was the first time I had met you.
My sister was there too.
My sister was there. We had a great class, very best class. And as they like to say, but I don't get to see you all that often. We're both pretty busy, and every now and then I'll see you at the chamber events, but you do all kinds of good work that we don't really talk about a lot. I remember when Richard Suter died, and you had like 3 major community leaders die that week. And I felt for you so much, because I mean, it's just, you carry that weight and burden of the people that loved that person. Yep. And oftentimes you loved that person too. And so you are grieving.
That was a rough week for sure.
Yes.
I've known Richard Suter my entire life. Since I was born. He and my dad worked together years ago, and Richard, Humble Bradley.
Oh, that's right.
Had passed away around that same time. Another good friend, Judge Mike Carter, passed away around that time. I'm trying to remember all of it from a year ago, but it's this industry, this business. What I do has its good days and bad days, and it was not necessarily a bad day, but it's a huge honor to be able to take care of those people. But
it still weighs on you, especially.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it weighs on you even if you don't know them, but when you know, and 3 at one time. But I think that was the first time I really thought about the work that you do is true good work, and taking care of other people. I know you do, but it's just, man, he's dealing with this on top of doing his job. He's grieving, and so I just thank you for that. But how did you grew up in this industry? I believe, kind of.
So I grew up. I actually grew up. My family was in the car business.
Oh.
I grew up around a car dealership. My grandfather, my dad is born and raised here in Middle Tennessee, born and raised in Nashville. He grew up in Madison, and Hendersonville areas. And then, my mom was born in North Carolina, but was raised in Detroit, Michigan. And my grandfather, met my grandmother, traveled up there to buy cars. And so they lived there for a long time. But in 1980, they moved down here, and, our dealership was in Rivergate. It was called Bob Williams Lincoln Mercury, and that was my grandfather's business. And when I was 5, he passed away. My brother and I were over there to spend the night with my grandparents, and my grandfather actually he had a heart attack sitting next to me at the dinner table.
Oh, wow!
And that event, among other events in the next 5 or 6 years, is what I feel it probably led me to what I do today, and the influence of some good people. But I started working in the funeral industry when I was 14.
Okay.
My dad had a friend that owned a funeral home in the Nashville area, and I worked for them for a couple years, and then came to work for a company that I worked for 15 years until I went to work for myself. It's been so yes, I guess I did grow up in the business.
14.
So yeah.
When you
grew up pretty quick.
When you told people what you did for a living at 14 and said you worked in a funeral home, how did people respond to that?
Various ways, but some people were, well, what did you do at 14? Well, the answer is a little bit of everything, but the most was watching and learning and seeing how to take care of people and how to do things, and how to best how to know to handle situations, and how to really just how to take care of people, and how to know that it can't really go any worse for them right now. And we've got to be the calm in the storm. We've got to be the shoulder to cry on. We've got to be, their advocate. We got to be their voice when they can't speak. And that we have an incredible opportunity to serve people. And the family that I worked for was in the same community still is in business, and where it's at. And at the time the first year I worked there, we were celebrating 50 years. And now that was into, last year would have been 70 years. The same family in the same place for 70 years. That's huge, and that's what's unique about this business. There's so many families in it. There's so many people, there's so many generational people, and not as many as there used to be. But my business partner, Nathaniel, he's a 6th generation funeral director. I mean, his family predates the Civil War in the funeral industry, which is crazy. It's not unheard of nowadays. When you go to mortuary college, there's a lot of kids that are there and that are generational, but there's a lot of them that aren't too. And most certainly not many that are 6th generation. But me being a 1st generation funeral director, I feel fortunate to work for what I do, and I've had good teachers, and definitely did a lot of growing up, starting at 14 and working my way through different things. And
I mean, you had a much different perspective of life at 14 than most 14-year-olds, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that growing up around my family owning a business and being self-employed, and I think that helped some of it, because if you wanted to go to the dealership and you wanted to be around the adults, you had to act right. And my brother and I were, we were fortunate that my dad and mom both worked at the dealership, as well as my grandmother and my uncle. My whole family worked there. So if you wanted to be there, you had to act right. And so, I knew how to behave and how to, be an adult. But I learned pretty quick how to wear a suit and tie, and how to, I don't think compose yourself is the right way to say, but how to be respectful to people, and how and show respect. And it's different. I mean, in the 20 years that I've been in the industry, it's definitely changed. But what hasn't changed is the service to families, that we still are here to serve them.
So a lot of times, they're dealing with a death that was not planned for, right? Like we don't plan. Most of us don't plan when we're going to die or know that it's coming.
Right.
And so they're dealing with unknowns. They're dealing with decisions that probably haven't been made a lot. So, you mentioned a few things already, but how do you advocate for them, or how do you present their kind of choices of what they have and let them think about it? How especially if someone's truly grieving and it's hard to make decisions in that moment, what would you recommend that they do?
So, one of the things that is part of our industry is pre-planning, and having what I'm going to call having a permanent plan in place, meaning that, and when I say permanent, it's a term I'm going to use a little bit loosely, but having pen to paper and having your wishes known. That's the first step.
And that should be at any age?
It could be anybody. People do it at all ages. The second step would be, if you wanted to fund that, if you wanted to pay for it, you can pay for it in advance. The advantage of that is that it guarantees the price of what we're doing, which can be a significant savings for people. It guarantees it, in perpetuity. So as long as the funeral home that you do that with is still in business, if they agree to guarantee the price, the only thing that the family pays the difference on is third-party items, prices, the things they don't control. But as far as the services and the merchandise, that cost is guaranteed, which is can be a huge savings for families. In the business, the funeral home agrees to do that, and you don't always, at the end of the day, that money is put into is held by a third party, which hopefully grows interest and covers inflation, but not necessarily every day, like
right
today.
Right.
But a lot of times it does. So that's the advantage of it. But the other advantage of it is just your family knowing that if something happens to you, who they call and who they need to talk to, and that person has a file. When we still use paper files, and that's one, it's required by law. Two, it puts it there where people can make changes, they can adjust it, they can do whatever they need to do. So
when you are dealing with grief, and we all handle grief in different ways.
Sure.
So you never know what a day's gonna look like, probably, for you ever. It's hard to plan.
I'll use an example as today. So today I knew that I had a 9 o'clock family scheduled, and I knew that I had to meet you at 11. But between yesterday leaving at about 6 and this morning, that changed entirely. So I met a family at 9. I'm going to meet you. I'm here with you right now. I've got another family at 12:30, another family at 3 o'clock.
And you went to bed last night, or at some point after 6 o'clock last night, that'll hit your calendar.
Yeah.
So you don't know what your day's going to look like.
And people, we meet families by appointment, but you can only meet so many families in a day too, and give each family the attention that they deserve. And sometimes that is difficult to explain, that if we already had a full day, because let's throw a funeral in the middle of it. We got a funeral day too. So, that happened the first time we tried to schedule this. I had to cancel on you because it just didn't work. Wasn't going to work. And, so it changes day by day. That's one thing that I think is, and people are going to think I'm crazy when I say exciting, but is exciting or interesting about this business is the fact that no 2 days are the same. And we'll do things the same way we do them, like meeting with families. We'll do some of the same things, but all the families are different. Everybody's coming from different backgrounds. Everybody's dealing with different situations. It could be sudden. It could be unexpected. It could be expected. It could be, the family relationship could be great. It could be a struggle. It could be an estranged situation. It could be a person that has no family, that has, a power of attorney or a conservator, or, sometimes there's nursing homes that just care for one of their residents. We just deal with so many different people in so many different situations. And I've got a small background in law enforcement, and it's very similar to that, where you're dealing with all kinds of different people in all kinds of different situations, and you never really know how they're going to react to what is said or done or what happens. And
so how do you stay composed and positive and focused on, you're clearly a very caring individual, but in all of those circumstances, and really not knowing what meeting you're walking into. You probably know very little information before you go in. What do you do to stay service-minded?
I was at a seminar several years ago, and it makes perfect sense that you don't choose a funeral service, it chooses you. And my wife will tell me, well, you're just wired differently. I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't handle that, And we are all different, but people in funeral service definitely have a different outlook on life and a different, okay, yeah, you had a bad day or your boss got mad at you or whatever, but you know what? You weren't planning, the funeral for your child who decided that, they wanted to take their own life. Or you're not planning the funeral for your husband of 60 or 70 years that died of cancer. Or, you're not, in our situation, you're not, my grandfather was 61. You're not a 60-year-old woman planning a funeral for your husband that, unfortunately, literally died in front of your grandchildren. And so, that's very, I don't want to sound cold when I say those things, but I guess that it puts things into perspective that, everybody has bad days, but it can always be worse. And I think that my faith is part of it. I'm a Christian. I'm not ashamed of that at all. Proud of it. That's always been a part of my life. And, I've got we've got a strong support group in funeral people. I've got a lot of friends in the business. All my best friends are funeral directors, or police officers. interesting group of people if they ever get together. But I've got a group of friends that are from all over the country that we are in a group text and we communicate on a daily basis. We've got our friends that are all funeral directors here in Tennessee that we all communicate almost daily. And
so we talked about this back when we did Leadership Sumner, but at the time I was working, at some point during that, I was working for a company that owned the rights to the Dash poem.
Oh yeah.
Like you have to live your dash.
Oh, yeah.
And so, that's a whole different story on, that has a weird history, but, I remember doing research for the funeral director market and I could not believe how close-knit it was. They all knew each other. There's all kinds of memes even that, just because you have to be funny, you have to you have to find some entertainment in this industry.
There's a couple of Instagram accounts like mortician memes, funeral memes. There's a bunch. There's actually several of them, but I don't follow them all. Some of them I do. Some are pretty spot on. Some of them are a little too much in my opinion, but you have to have an outlet. You have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
Everything that you do is an event of some type. It's, you're always, I don't have a tie on today. That's, if we have visitations or funerals, we're going to have suits and ties on, but I don't wear a tie every day. A lot of my friends still do that. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them are just, can't believe that I don't wear a tie every day, but it's just what we do, and when families meet with us, the families that are meeting with us today, they're not coming in a suit and tie. They're not coming in their Sunday clothes. They're not, they're coming in, sometimes people show up in their pajamas or their shorts and t-shirt.
Well,
whatever.
they're grieving.
They're grieving.
Yeah.
They're having a tough day.
Yeah.
And I feel like that if we're comfortable, they are comfortable,
But you're also presenting yourself in a way of respect, right? From the get-go, before you even know what's going on, you're walking in the door.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And we're, when I say everything that you do is an event, it's a formal event, and we don't, when we have funerals and visitations and stuff, we get, there's no dress rehearsals. We have one chance to do it. And, I think that is one of the
that is so interesting to think about.
But we don't go and when people and now I'm not saying that this is not that there's not been rehearsals for certain events. That definitely does happen depending on the size and the situation, but normally they're not rehearsed. We had a service a couple weeks ago. Dr. Montague, the president of Allstate, we took care of her family, served her family, took care of her services. And there was a lot of planning involved in that from our standpoint, but from the college standpoint, we had her service at the college. And somebody came up to me, well, how many times did you guys practice what you did? And I was like, 0. And this guy, he said, really? I said, well, I've been here twice. I came, I was actually, the night before her service, I was there at about 6:00 that night. I had Allstate police let me in the building so I could go look at something I was thinking about. And, this is what we do every day. This is we're here to serve and we're funeral directors and we're funeral service professionals and we're here to serve people and we're here to do it and make it right. And a lot of times, one thing about, and this, I guess, is with a lot of professions and things like that, if we mess something up, most people are not going to realize that. Mm-hmm. But we do.
Right.
And we take that serious. And if we make a mistake or if we do something, maybe not necessarily a mistake, but something, hey, we did it that way, but next time let's figure it out. Let's try to do it this way and see if that works. Those are some of those things. But, we are in the public eye constantly. That's why when you were talking about the industry, we were,
you're close
a month ago.
Oh.
I'm trying to think about dates here. About a month ago, my wife and I went to Las Vegas to the National Funeral Directors Convention. And we were walking through, there's all kinds of, there's probably, I have no idea even the number of exhibitors there are, but there's probably 4,000 people that come to that convention, which I thought was a lot until they were having another convention there that had 30,000 people at it. So go figure. But still, 4,000 people is a lot of people. And so we're going through this hall and there's a lot of things that I wanted to see, but, we were talking and Ashley said, there's kind of hard for you to go see things when you're seeing people. This is like the one time a year you see some of these people. You may talk to them throughout the year, but 9 times out of 10, you're seeing them once a year. You're seeing them at this event, and they want to catch up and talk and chit chat and things like that. And or you're meeting people that you've dealt with over the phone or through social media or whatever it is, and you're meeting them for the first time, and you want to, and so it's kind of hard to actually do business when you're there. But it's with that close knit group it's definitely and you find that there are groups of people that kind of flock together, people that are like-minded, and because not everybody has the same outlook and viewpoint, not everybody operates their business the same way, not everybody's in the same community, same type of community, I should say. Some of these guys are in small towns that they'll serve 40 or 50 families a year, and then we're in a bigger metropolitan area, we'll serve 400 families a year.
Right.
It's a big difference. But you're still all have the same common goal of serving people. And we get the opportunity to, I want to say, do 3 things. We get to care for the deceased, we get to serve the family, we get to serve the community, and we get to do it all at the same time, almost simultaneously. And it's a huge honor. And it's hard for me to sometimes put that into words of how big a deal it is,
Big deal.
I think that people respect what we do. I think there's a lot of, we're one of the oldest, but one of the least understood, because there's still things people just don't understand why you do this or why you do that. And so we answer a lot of questions. Everybody's usually got a funeral joke of some type. People just used to that by now, but,
what's the best?
I don't know what's the best.
Arthur, what's the one you hear most often? Do you hear one most often?
People are dying to see you, and
okay.
Our response is, well, that's usually how it happens. So, and it's another thing people say to me that I've tried to come up with a better response, and sometimes I'm not as quick as I like to be, but you must be quiet because you're working with the dead all the time. But really, if you think about it, if you looked at what my day consists of, the actual working with the deceased person, whether we're doing embalming or preparation or doing a cremation or transferring them from where they passed away to our facility, whether it's where they may pass away, that's just a small percentage of it. The larger percentage of it is deal with the family, taking care of them, the visitation, the funeral, the celebration, the memorial, whatever they're doing, the gathering, whatever they're doing to signify that loss, is the bigger part of what we're doing.
Right.
The preparation and that part of it is very important. That's equally important, but it's not that doesn't take the majority of my time, I guess.
So I almost feel bad about even asking about this from a marketing perspective. I don't really think of a funeral home until I need a funeral home, right? Or a funeral service until I need it. So is that for you just staying top of mind? You're a good person and you're in the community, so I know people just think of you and think of the business because you've built a brand of being caring. But just through that process, do you find most people just know you and they're going to call you, or is there a choice? When something happens, are they doing research?
A lot of people are doing research. A lot of people I see all the time. People asking for recommendations on social media. Recently, Nextdoor, and I really don't even know that much about Nextdoor, but I now have a profile on there because I had somebody send me a screenshot of where people were recommending us to a family, and what's crazy. And I'll talk about that for just a second. Is there was probably 25 responses to this person, and over half of them were for us. But I don't know I don't know their real name, so I don't know if we ever served them or not. And I kind of thought about the other day getting on there and say, did we take care of your family? And I just don't know that we did. But it's kind of, and I don't want to look like, wait, yeah, you talked to me and you didn't even realize it was me, But so a lot of Google, a lot of people, we do a lot of Google ads. We're about to do a lot more. Or I shouldn't say that on some of my competitors find that out. Like, whatever, it's what it is. There's Google, everybody gets a piece of the pie.
That's right. It all depends on how much money you're going to spend.
Right.
So
we do some marketing with our pre-planning. We do some direct mail stuff. We do some social media ads. And your normal stuff. Some of the stuff in the newspaper here and there. A few different churches where we sponsor, like the bulletin.
The bulletin has a sponsor?
Some of them, like most of your Catholic churches have a thing. And,
I didn't know that.
some of the church, some of your church doesn't have like a.
They have a bulletin, but
they have like ads like in a directory.
The photo directory thing.
Like the Methodist Church has, they have like I don't remember if we did it this year or not, but they have a directory and they'll do some ads
maybe
but like this Catholic church, we're on their bulletin every Sunday. So,
who knew?
But you know, it's you got to pick and choose too. I mean, we can't do everything, and so we kind of as a company really kind of made the decision that we were going to look at the. One of two things: either everybody asks us for something, give them the minimum amount, or trying to look at where we can make the biggest impact and make a larger donations or larger sponsorships or whatever it is. And that is very tough.
It's tough for any business
because
yes,
you especially when you've lived here. I mean, I've lived here my whole life.
You want to say yes. Yep.
You want to say yes. It's hard to, and it's. You don't want to look bad by saying no, and that's probably one of the toughest things for me. Is at the end of the day too, we have a budget and we have money set aside for certain things, and sometimes we just can't afford to do it. It is what it is, and so we've done some stuff the last couple of years with the FCA. It's done some stuff with Live Love Nashville. We've done some stuff with some scholarships and things like that. Things that we feel make an impact. Is that going to get us business? Not necessarily, but it gives us opportunity to help somebody. Hopefully.
That's right.
And
that's right.
That's the biggest thing is that we've been looking at doing some video stuff. On social media, not necessarily TV. I don't know if that's really our market anymore. I think that some funeral homes do that, but number one, it's pretty expensive, as you know. Number two, I just don't. With streaming now, and satellite, cable, stream. There's so many different outlets now. People are getting that. I don't watch TV. We stream. We don't even have cable in our house. We have Wi-Fi, and we do everything we do is streaming. And so, and I know that's a younger generation, but it's hard to sometimes pinpoint the best place to market things. Now there's all these experts in our industry that have an idea, but Google is probably Google and social media is probably the two things we will probably spend the most money on marketing wise.
So I was having a conversation with a florist friend, which I know you deal with all kinds of florists, but
florist friend, I've got to know them, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But she was talking about a trend that kind of originated in Atlanta and some of the bigger southern cities, even bigger than Nashville. They were carrying bouquets instead of the corsages for prom, and anyway, that it was coming here. Do you see trends in? I mean, I know when I was kind of, not that I worked in this industry at all, but I was researching this industry, and it would be the videos or the slideshows or, decor or, that sort of thing. And I know that there's been a trend, burial versus cremation, and that might go back and forth, but do you see other kind of trends like that come up in the industry? And what's been the most interesting, if there has been one?
The biggest trend is that in the US as a whole, cremation has surpassed burial in the method of disposition. I attribute several different things to that. I'm not going to get into all that right this second, but definitely see a difference in what people pick as far as products. I think lately they're doing things that they can personalize more. They're and we're offering a lot of different things. The companies with vendors we work with offer all kinds of different things, and they I feel like they're always coming up with something new. We've got, look at this wood on this table. It's like that barnwood. We have a barnwood. We have a casket. We can get caskets out of reclaimed barnwood. We've got, anything you can think of, really. And I think people want things that are personal, but they want to see value in what they're getting. And that's one thing that I I'll tell families this when they're coming in and they're going to make a selection. This is exactly what I say to them. It's not my job to sell you something you don't need or can't afford. These are the things we have. This is what they cost. And you do what you think is right for your family. Now, if you want me to tell you what is the best product we have, the least expensive product, the mid-range product, I'll answer any questions you want to answer. But I'm not going to walk up to, take a grieving widow to this casket that costs $6,000 and say, your husband would want you to get this for him, but it's not me. We're not going to do that, And unfortunately, there are, this is going to be unpopular opinion from my funeral colleagues, but there are funeral homes that do that every day, and that's not going to be us. The other trend that I see is people not realizing that they have a choice, and when I say a choice, and do your research the funeral home, look at their Google reviews, look at and ask about the Google reviews. I mean, I had a lady the other day ask me about a Google review. We have one. I hate to even mention this on this. We have one-star review, and it's from a disgruntled family who really didn't even have anything to do with it, and it's a complete fabrication. But Google won't remove it. Google won't remove it, and that's fine. And so the lady asked me about it, and she said, "Why did you respond to it?" I said, "Because it would just start a dialogue that's not going to be productive for anybody." And she said, "Well, I can understand that." I said, and I don't want to get into an argument through social media or through Google with a family. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's obviously, I said, you saw that one review. I said, but yeah, you saw that one. I said, but look at the other 50 plus that are not. And she said, well, yeah. I said, I guess that, and I said, it bothered me at first, but then I also think that now that, we're not perfect by any means. That situation was a whole other fiasco. That was really not anything that really had anything to do with us. We just got roped into it because it was a family situation, and they thought that we did something wrong, and we didn't, and it's okay. I'm not going to try to change their opinion, but the trend meaning that they don't know that they can choose somewhere else. My dad, Dad passed away, and he has. I'm going to use, I don't want to use names. He has at XYZ cemetery. He has his burial plots. Well, there's a funeral home there. So we got to use that funeral home. That's not true at all. We can bury anybody at any cemetery in the country or in the state of Tennessee for sure. Well, we're going to do the funeral at the church. We're going to do this. We don't need you involved. Well, not necessarily, but we make things so much easier for the families, and it's our job. It's what we do every day. It's what we've done for years. And knowing that you have a choice, and knowing that you need to do your research, and know who owns what. We're in a community now that is sandwiched by corporate-owned funeral homes right here in your backyard. And people don't realize that there's 3 funeral homes in Sumner County that are owned by a corporation that's headquartered in Canada. That doesn't make a difference. That doesn't matter where they're headquartered. But what matters is that that's your money's not staying local. You choose a local family. You choose a local business. You come in our business, just chances are you're going to see one of my 2 kids or one of Nathaniel's kids running around there every now and then, because we're a family business, and that's sometimes the kids have to show up with us, and you're gonna see us throughout the process. We're gonna be there to help your family, and we're right here. Your money's staying local. We live here, we work here, our kids go to school here, we play here, we do everything here.
Right. And
I think that's vital in what we do, because it's such a personal business, and it's such a personal time that you're trusting your most valued possession, sometimes with a complete stranger, or sometimes with a person that someone recommended, or sometimes we know this person,
right?
Which, lived here my whole life, so that happens a lot. But know who you're trusting, and do your research. And if you go somewhere and you don't like how things are going, you can always change. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to do what's right for your family, and that's the biggest thing is that I see trend-wise, is people making sure people know that there's a choice, and knowing that if you change your mind, there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. So,
well, and I love what you said about finding something that connects with you. That's whatever you're choosing to do, reclaimed barnwood or not. And if there's a reason that means something to you, then that's a choice you should make. I love that.
And with cremation on the rise, we have a lot of families that choose not to do services. That's their choice. Do I think every life deserves to be celebrated in some kind of way? I 100% believe that. I don't care if it's a funeral in your church. If it's a funeral in our funeral home, if it's a celebration of life, if it's having a toast at your favorite bar, I don't care what it is, but something needs to be done to celebrate the life and signify the loss. People need closure. Whether you think they do or not, they do.
Amen.
Yeah, well, I've had people in the last year that, well, we're not going to have anybody show up. And they had 100-something people show up,
Is that a fear? People
think that a lot.
Oh, wow.
Well, we're not from here originally. Well, how long have you lived here? Well, 50 years. Got news for you, folks. You're from here. So you may not be a redneck like some of us, but you're from here. I had a family told me that, and I was like, I really think y'all need to do this. You've got children, and we try to be affordable people. I hate using the term affordable or low cost, but I compassionately priced that people, we can cater something to work for somebody's budget, and we're going to make it happen for them. That's the biggest thing is we want to take care of people, and we want to do what's right, and we don't want them to leave feeling that they overspent or they spent money they didn't have. They didn't. I guess same thing, overspent or spent money they didn't have, and I want them to see value in what we're doing for them. And you're not always going to feel good when you leave. It's a funeral home. I get that, but knowing that we did what we could do for them and they did what they could do for their loved one, knowing that they did everything they could do.
It's good work.
I think so. And I'm honored to do it every day. We're honored to do it. We have a great staff. Everything that we do is a team effort. It's not, I had somebody the other day, I was actually landscaping outside the funeral home, the office here in Gallatin. I was putting down pine straw, and somebody pulled up, like, I can't believe you're out here putting down pine straw and pulling weeds. I was like, that's what we do. I mean, Nathaniel and I, it's not uncommon to see us pulling weeds and doing stuff like that. And we got to do what you got to do. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Well, and it's a local, family-owned business.
Exactly. And we got to do what we got to do to make things nice for people. And you're gonna see, when we have a funeral, you're gonna see me or him on every single funeral, just about. I'm not saying we're at all of them, but we're at 90% of them. And I had a family the other day that was looking at doing some pre-arranging, and the lady Joy is one of our funeral directors, and she handles pre-arranging. And I said, did they finalize what they were doing? She said, well, they're got a couple concerns. I said, what's their concerns? And she said, well, they wanted to talk to their minister about it. And okay. And she said, well, they're just concerned about, that we're a small business, so we're not going to be here. And I was like, I think it's a valid point. I said, but I mean, look at other funeral homes, and I told her, I said, look at, I'm going to use a friend of mine at Phillips Robinson Funeral Home in Nashville. They've been in business since like 1929. Same family. Funeral homes don't go away.
There's always a service to do.
And I think, I think that one of our, I'm not saying it will be all of our children, but between Nathaniel and I, one of our kids will end up taking over the business one day. And that's why I hope, if they want to do it, I hope they do. My daughter's 7 years old, and she loves to go to the funeral home and do stuff with me. She's not afraid of it. And then she understands it. It's kind of scary how much she understands, but there's no telling what she tells the teachers at school. So, but anyways, but it's our hope that our business is here for a long time. Can I guarantee that? I can't guarantee that. I have no idea what the future is going to bring, but I can tell you this, that we plan to be here forever, as long as we can be. And so,
I think you will, because you're doing good work. It's work that we don't think of, really. You provide a service that we have to have, but the way that it is approached is good work every day.
Something everybody has to have, but nobody wants.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
I understand that. So it's but it's good work, and it is it's a noble profession, I think. I hate to say, I don't even call it a job anymore. It's a profession. It's a craft.
It's a calling.
It is 100% a calling.
Yeah.
100%. That's you. I think I said that earlier. It chooses you. You don't choose it. Yeah. And I remember that when I first went to work in the funeral home when I was 14, he told me, he said, you're going to know in a day, maybe 2 days, if you want to do this or not. And he said, you come for the 2 days. If you like it, you stay with it. If you don't like it, I'll pay you for your time and you go on about your business. And here we are. So,
well, I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. Thank you for the good work that you do.
Thank you.
So if people are interested in pre-planning or they in need of a service quick, they tell them how to get in touch with you.
So, we are one of those businesses that the phone is answered 24 hours a day. So you can call either one of our offices in Gallatin. I guess I can give you phone numbers. Gallatin, 452-9059. Hendersonville, 822-4442. SumnerFuneral.com is our website. We're on Facebook, Sumner Funeral and Cremation. And in Hendersonville, Sumner Funeral and Cremation Lakeside, we have 2 Facebook pages for some reason. That's another, social media management. I guess I need help in that. And then, you can email us, Randy at SumnerFuneral.com or info@SumnerFuneral.com. Everybody sees that one. That was funny. I heard you and Charles talking about emails earlier, and I looked at I have 13,000 emails on my email.
I can't do it. It's different personalities.
Probably junk. So, but, we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 365 days a year where our staff is on call. Chances are you're going to speak to myself or Nathaniel directly when you call the phones. We answer the phones after hours a lot. And, phone's the best way to get us usually. So.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being on the podcast. Thanks for the work you do every day. And I hope I get to see you more often, but I know you're doing good work. Not that you're doing it quietly or with, I get that joke now, but thank you. Appreciate you.
You too.